to The Witcher 3 especially. So that's what we're gonna do now. Right, so which of those quests haven't we had yet? Kinslayer's outfit. The Witcher spent piles of gold, firstly on the diagrams and then on crafting the components of the Kinslayer's outfit. The expense was worth it, however, as Geralt now had unrivaled arms and armor. The outfit would help Geralt attain any goal he desired, just as long as a hero refused to part with any piece. The Messenger, did we read this in its entirety? I don't know. I think we did. Yeah. Pacta sunt servanda. Yeah, we had this too. Crown Witness not, though. I think we read it like the first paragraph. And matter he did, Geralt and Brigida made their way towards the river, the Witcher looking keenly about for any signs of a possible ambush. When they reached the forest, Geralt took the lead and Brigida followed. The Witcher's suspicions proved correct. In the forest, brigands awaited in an ambush, and the Witcher had to repel them. Those few bandits aside, all other things came up roses, well, excepting the fact that the smuggler was dead, but Brigida had reached the river in one piece. Geralt had fulfilled his end of the deal, and the woman proceeded to fulfill hers. She told the Witcher everything she knew about Bussy's disappearance, and gave him a valuable piece of evidence. Our hero could now return to Lochmuin and begin his investigation. Having helped Brigida escape, the Witcher returned to Lochmuin. Lilies and Vipers? I don't think we've read this yet, right? Oh no, we've had this first paragraph, definitely. Geralt kept his vow and accompanied Brigida to the river. Brigida also kept her word. She revealed that the Council of Regents had dispatched Foltest's children to Lochmuin, where their fate was to be decided. The convoy had almost left Temerian territory when its commander received a letter from Baron Kimbold ordering a change of route. Once on the new trail, the convoy was attacked by unknown assailants. Brigida had fled and knew little else of what befell Bussy and Anais, but she suspected the worst. She had made her way to Lochmuin, with what hope she did not know. That too was where the aforementioned unknown assailants reappeared, clearly intent on killing the last living witness of their attack. And that was when Geralt had stepped in. Grateful for his help, Brigida gave our hero Kimbold's letter ordering the convoy to change course, thus confirming her story. The Witcher decided to speak with the nobleman and to learn what had prompted him to issue the order. The search for Bussy had begun. Baron Kimbold claimed that the letter was a forgery and he could prove it. All his official correspondence was written on paper saturated with a substance that would turn the page blue when treated with an activator. The Witcher could thus have the letter to the convoy commander examined alchemically. Oh, we actually already read this, I remember, because this sentence is bullshit. Though, as it turns out, he would need to complete the procedure himself. Geralt's experience concocting potions, oils and bombs proved useful, as he easily created the activating substance. The page turned orange, not blue. Not written on Kimbold's paper, the letter was clearly a forgery. Clearly. The Witcher decided to revisit the Baron to try to establish who might have tried to frame him. After talking to Kimbold, Geralt knew that he would need to investigate the Temerian nobles if he wanted to learn what had truly happened to Bussy and Anais. The powerful Baron Kimbold and the diplomatic yet enigmatic Count Maravel seemed key to solving this mystery. Thus the Witcher continued to delve in the hope of finding evidence he could present to John Natalis. As he laid open the schemes of the two Temerian magnates and began to learn bits and pieces of Bussy's and Anais' fate, the Witcher drew closer and closer to concluding that all Temeria's highborn were guilty to some degree. After Foltest's death, each and every one had at least considered taking the throne, and some actually began to weave plots that would lead to their coronation. Geralt decided that both Baron Kimbold and Count Maravel, through their scheming, had crossed the line into treason and brought misfortune to Foltest's children. The Witcher presented his charges to Interax Natalis. But as it turned out, the arm of the law was not as long as one might have hoped. Given that the Baron and the Count had come to Lochmuin with their household troops, Natalis lacked the man to arrest them both. He decided to charge and arrest Marival, judging his guilt to be greater. What is more, he asked Baron Kimbold to lend him his men-at-arms in case of trouble. Needless to say, the Baron agreed eagerly. Oh man, that was so cynical again. Have to make a deal with one traitor to arrest the other. Brass of Bernard, a learned sorcerer whom our hero met in Lochmuin, told Geralt an interesting story about Rans. The member of this extinct, intelligent reptilian race loved, warred, and gathered treasure. The Rans were adept at securing their riches. They placed magical guardians near their hoards, and these would activate should someone carrying a token inscribed with the words of power necessary to open the passage come nearby. The guardians would allow into the treasuries only those who knew the password. Geralt kept Brass' advice in mind, and since it was likely that the document he found in the haunted house by the Pontar contained a Ran password, he decided to search Lochmuin for a spot at which he might be useful. As he wandered Lochmuin's sewers, Geralt chanced upon a strange creature resembling a will-o'-the-wisp. The being asked him a question in an incomprehensible dialect. A cat got Geralt's tongue, but fortunately the notes taken from Mulget's house started to glow faintly at that moment. The Witcher began to suspect the meeting was not accidental and that it might result in interesting things. Then our hero remembered Brass of Bernard's tale of Ran Guardians, so he began looking through the manuscript from the haunted house in search of answers. Geralt read the password from Mulget's notes correctly. The Ran Guardian opened a magical portal and then disappeared. But the riddles had hardly ended. The Witcher passed through the portal and emerged in a locked room. The 7 braziers that stood within had to be used to open the door. It is therefore not unreasonable to assume that the Vrans became extinct because they found it hard to exit their homes. Geralt noticed that his every action causes 2 reactions. That's not true, Dandelion. Some of them cost more, some less. If he lit an extinguished brazier, 2 others would be affected. Lit ones would be extinguished, and extinguished ones would be lit. Our hero began to notice a pattern in the workings of this magical riddle. Geralt managed to light all the braziers. With the door unlocked, he could proceed. Geralt's patience was rewarded. Beyond the open door, another guardian awaited him. A mysterious being brought to life by the Vrans. Geralt heard the guardian out, and did not hesitate for an instant. He announced that he was indeed the chosen one the guardian had been awaiting, and then allowed the creature to use the artifact that was the key to the prize. Having made use of the artifact, it is safe to contend the experience changed Geralt thoroughly. Ready like never before, he set off to complete the task that had brought him to Lochmuin. Alright, Mystic River. Only a couple left now. Geralt searched for quite a while, but he found the chest beneath Lochmuin's streets. In it was a treasure that, when combined with Ran armor enhancements, could be forged into a marvelous set of armor. However, a sorcerer smith was needed for that. Finding an appropriately schooled craftsman was easier than Geralt had initially thought. Brass of Bernard, a legendary sorcerer smith, was present at the Sorcerer's Summit. For a moderate fee, he made Ran armor for Geralt, so the adventure that stretched along the Pontar's current came to an end. A score to settle. In the square of Lochmuin, Geralt chanced upon a Cadwenny soldier he had met back in Edirn. You might remember that the soldier had a score to settle with the Witcher and, given the chance, decided to do so amid the picturesque scenery of the ruins. Geralt was no weakling, however, and beat the living daylights out of his opponent. Poker Face Lochmuin. Do we want to read this? I guess for completionist's sake. Who would have thought gambling would flourish in the ruins of Lochmuin? But it did. Geralt found partners for games of dice poker in one of the ruined buildings. A pair of elves, a sorcerer, his apprentice, and a fallen warlock. 2 elves and 3 magicians make a full house. The Witcher decided it was a good omen and dove into gambling. First he had a game with the elves. Geralt massacred the elf, poker-wise, but he had to best him in order to play with the professionals. Geralt was only able to take on the serious opponents after besting the elven pair. The sorcerer was first. Hocus pocus, abracadabra, the sorcerer was in misery, but his apprentice was a match for Geralt. Ha! The apprentice still had much to learn. She lost to Geralt, and the Witcher now could face the incredible Lockhart, a fallen mage and dice poker master. Still blows my mind, like, what's the mastery in dice poker? Anyway, now that was a game. The incredible Lockhart cheated a bit, but to no avail, for Geralt cheated more. The Witcher won and was very proud of the victory. I didn't cheat. He already won fame as a consummate poker player in the north, but only defeating Lockhart brought him true championship. Glory to the champion. Bring it on, Loch Muin. Geralt came across an interesting notice on the board on the city square. A certain individual had challenged all those brave enough to an arm wrestling duel. The Witcher was no weakling and he enjoyed plebeian pastimes, so he took special note of the challenge. Instead of asking people around or thinking things over, Geralt intimidated mighty Numa. The strongman was so scared that he promised to discontinue using his strength-enhancing elixirs. Our hero challenged Numa to another duel. Without his enhancers, Numa turned out to be an easy opponent. Geralt bested him at arm wrestling. Believe it or not, but my wiry friend turned out to be a champion above all others, for he bested all the strongmen of that time. He had no equals at arm wrestling. Let us honor him rightly. I don't know, maybe you get more XP if you beat Numa even with his strength enhancers. I don't know. An encrypted manuscript. In one of the ruined passages in Loch Muin, Geralt found a manuscript written in a strange language. He could not understand a thing of it, so he decided to find a professional who would let him decipher the document. I think we've read this already. The Witcher started looking for the ingredients, and his effort was rewarded. Brass used the ingredients and cast a decoding spell. He revealed that the book contained instructions for creating a powerful sword named Kami. Bars, I guess Brass. Brass knew a thing or two about weapons and was a sorcerer on top of that. He was able to prepare the blade for the Witcher. Now we're almost through, just the Gargoyle contract and a couple more. Due to did we read this already? I think so. At least the first paragraph. The Witcher learned that gargoyles are magical creatures posted as the city guards. They attacked anyone who entered an area protected by the spell. Finding and deactivating the magical seals that bound the gargoyles would be enough to solve the problem. Armed with a sharp sword and knowledge, the Witcher started looking for the seals. Geralt wore down the soles of his shoes and blunted his blade, but he got rid of the gargoyles. His reward waited in the hands of Brass of Barnard. Brass of Barnard turned out to be a generous employer. The Witcher was pleased. Where's Triss Merigold? Where did we end in this? Geralt took Shillard Fitzastelin prisoner, and with a hostage like that, he hoped to force the Nilfgaardians to free Triss Merigold. The Witcher and his captive headed towards the Nilfgaardian camp. Renwald ab Metzen, commander of the Nilfgaardian Knights, showed Geralt what he thought about his trump card. He simply killed Shillard Fitzastelin. A sad end, for what else do we call the death of a man reputed to be the most cunning diplomat of his time by the hand of his countryman? The Witcher, however, had little time to reflect on the downfalls of great figures. Surrounded by the Black Ones, he fought for his life and for Triss's freedom. And he won both. Displaying presence of mind, he searched Ab Metzen's body and found a key. The sorceress was free, finally. However, there was no time for embraces, explanations, and thanks. Brave as ever, Triss helped Geralt gather his wits, and they retreated from the enemy camp with utmost speed. For Temeria. That's the Roche stuff. Vernon awaited Geralt at the main square, near the entrance to the Redanian camp. That's before we spoke to Radovid, right? He wanted to speak with the king only in Geralt's presence. Once the Witcher arrived and was ready, both went to see the king. The young king was a firm negotiator, fully aware of his position and as the strongest ruler of the north. After Temeria, Cadwyn and Adan were weakened, Redania rose in prominence, yet Radovid knew that he could not stop Nilfgaard alone in the event of another war. Thus, Vernon Roche was able to get a guarantee of Redanian support for Temeria, but had to pay a high price indeed. Radovid gained control over Foltest's bastard, the potential heir to the Temerian throne. At this point, Roche's and Geralt's paths separated. This point, I guess. The Witcher wanted to go to the Nilfgaardian camp and save Triss, and Roche was in a hurry to recover Foltest's child. Roche could wait near the entrance to the Cadweni camp, however, not for long. He was willing to do everything alone. The Witcher made his decision. And he decided to find Triss. And when he was on it heart and soul. Could you imagine that he took Shillard Fitzastillan hostage? He hoped to trade him for the sorceress. That's right, we already read this. Alone on a sorceress summit, the Witcher would feel like a raftsman on a declamation contest. Luckily, Triss Merigold awaited him at the amphitheater's entrance. Geralt ran his fingers through his hair, took a deep breath, and entered the meeting place at Triss's side. Join the deliberations. Yeah, there's nothing new in these older quests, is there? By the way, why are there so many quests still open from a bygone era? I've completed this in Act 3, so why is it not completed in Act 2? Turning memories, okay, this is like the main quest. Score to settle, I also completed this in Act 3, as well as Where's Triss Merigold, so those should be closed, I don't know. That's weird. Okay, of course we're also going to do the locations and stuff. Lochmuin Amphitheater, that's where we're about to go to. The amphitheater in Lochmuin was once the jewel of the city. Even stripped of its former trappings and ruined by time, it remained impressive. The elves had used it as a theater, a venue where troubadours performed, perhaps even as an arena for gladiatorial combat. During the memorable events recounted herein, it served as a site for a summit of mages and monarchs. The Redanian Quarter is where King Radovid and his men annexed a large swath of the city in which to make camp. A full regiment of soldiers and an elite detachment of handpicked knights protect Redania's ruler, with every reason to fear an attempt on his life. That's true, he is, after all, the last living king of one of the major northern kingdoms. The sewers of Lochmuin. For ages humans viewed elves as beings both beautiful and refined, as a race seemingly molded out of better clay than men. While perceiving them thus, humans also asked themselves, do elves pee? Few wonder anymore. But if any still need tangible proof, it can be found in the sewers of Lochmuin. This colossal system of corridors and canals arouses envy in human builders. It served the city's inhabitants for long years, and today has become a shelter and breeding ground for monsters. Those who do not fear beasts can use the sewers to travel discreetly between the city's quarters. Interesting. A lot of like Roman Empire references here, I guess. Old civilization that left behind advanced infrastructure and technology not to be surpassed for centuries to come. Any new stuff on characters? Oh, Kimbold. I've read the first paragraph, luckily, I think. Yeah. Why did Geralt put up with him? Well, Kimbold apparently had something to do with the disappearance of Bussy, Foltest's son. Kimbold had also had Louisa La Valette tortured. Oh, that's him. He wished her to confess that she had been sleeping with her own son, and that both Bussy and Anais had been born out of incest. Obviously, there was no truth to this. Did I say something to do with the disappearance of Bussy? Forgive me the euphemism. Geralt discovered that Baron Kimbold had commissioned someone to murder Foltest's son. The Baron was intent on assuming the Temerian throne, and the boy simply stood in his way. Kimbold had planned to dispose of both Foltest's bastards and become king. His claims might have been viewed as legitimate, since he was related to Foltest in some convoluted way. He said he was a cousin, but you know, that might have just been an expression. The nuances escape me, though one thing is sure, he was a very distant relative. Through Geralt's efforts, both Baron Kimbold and Count Marewal would answer for their iniquitous intentions and their parts in Bussy's disappearance. However, John Natalis lacked the manpower in Lochmuin to deal with them both. Thus Kimbold's hide was saved for the time being, while the forces he commanded eagerly assisted in Count Marewal's arrest. Oh. Um, Much like Baron Kimbold, he had great ambitions, yet he held them in check and was much more ingenious and precise in pursuing his plans. One of Merrill's more daring schemes involved kidnapping Foltest's children as they traveled to Lochmuin in a convoy. I should add that the Count had reached an agreement with the Nilfgaardians, promising to deliver Bussy and Anais to the Black Ones in exchange for their backing his claim to the Temerian throne. Though he wanted Temeria to be strong, he had committed treason. Yeah, I guess his wrongdoings are greater than those of Kimbold even. I mean, he wanted to sell out Temeria to Nilfgaard, not only take it for himself, take it for himself, but by alliance with Nilfgaard. Renwald ab Metzen. As ambassador, Schillard Fizerstelin was the emperor's mouth here in the north. Renwald ab Metzen was his ironclad fist, and we read that already. Guided by loyalty to the same power, Renwald followed the orders he had received and sent Schillard to the beyond without blinking an eye. Yet the Witcher made sure that Metzen embarked upon the same journey not long after the ambassador. Brigida. A non-too-significant figure, Brigida Papebrock, or Papebrock, I guess, was a minor courtier who had the fortune or misfortune, depending on how one looks at it, to meet Vernon Roche. Though she lacked powerful friends, connections and patrons, she nevertheless managed to become embroiled in matters far beyond her capabilities. Brigida would surely have become the victim of a political murder if not for the help of the Witcher, who agreed to escort her out of Lochmuin. Brigida was unique in that she was the only adult to have survived the attack on the convoy transporting Foltest's children to Lochmuin. Thus, she had witnessed the events leading to Bussy's disappearance. Marcus, Mighty Numa's assistant, made money on the side by, among other things, selling healthy food, the foundation of a healthy diet. The Incredible Lockhart. Spelled from the Barnard Magical School for carousing and gambling, Lockhart was selling his magical tomes and amulets at quite moderate prices. What's new with Triss? Yet the Witcher foiled this plan. Which plan? Triss had reached Aden. There was evidence to prove it. Finding her would prove difficult, however. Yet the Witcher foiled this plan, wresting Triss from Nilfgaardian hands. I described the story's finale in one of my ballads, omitting the carnage wrought there. However, for his part, he thinks that my version, with its colorful description of a mounted pursuit of Renwald ab Metzen, limp sorceress trundled across the saddle, is too pretentious, which is no sense of licentia poetica at all. Vernon Roche. Yeah, that's when he killed Henselt, I guess. Thus he left with Geralt for Lochmuin to close the final chapter of this story. There they split up. Vernon left to square things with Deathmold, taking into account the determination previously displayed by the commander of Foltest's special forces. I wouldn't have bet a wooden nickel on the magician. As it turned out, my instincts were right. Bussy La Valette. The boy had died in mysterious circumstances, but the significance of this event was clear. Of Baronesses La Valette and King Foltest's 2 children, only Anais remained alive. A young girl born out of wedlock, the sole and highly problematic heir to the Temerian throne. As Geralt was sailing up the Ponta, Bussy was packed up and placed in a convoy that was to take him to Lochmuin. The boy never reached the city. The rumors Geralt had heard from King Radovid proved true. Violent tensions had bred a series of unfortunate coincidences. In short, Bussy was dead. I actually went there. The Witcher killed a child. I guess not on screen, but I don't guess that's a thing a lot of video games do. And usually for the better, probably. But I don't know. It fits with the story here, I guess. Yeah, no, we read this already. Henselt. The king reaped which his deeds had sown years earlier, when he and Nilfgaard jointly partitioned Adarn, though he returned the stolen lands. Oh yeah. No, that's long past. Thanks to the Witcher, the curse plaguing Henselt was lifted. The king breathed a sign of relief and returned to realizing his plans with redoubled energy. Apart from invading Adarn, these probably included killing Stannis, hanging all non-humans, and plowing Saskia. Not necessarily in that order. Henselt revealed the entirety of his rotten character when he had Roche's men murdered and personally defiled Vess. In this way he gained a mortal enemy in the form of Vernon Roche. The king of Kedwen satiated his ambitions. He led a victorious assault on Vergen and strengthened his kingdom. Henselt made a mistake in underestimating the determination of the Blue Stripes' captain to avenge his men. Thus ended the line of the Kedweni rulers bearing the unicorn and their seal. Yeah, after all, he doesn't have any heirs, right? Death mold. The sorcerer was Henselt's creature in full, a lackey who served his master in any way possible. This included tracking real and imagined spies and thwarting conspiracies on the monarch's life. He was also among those chiefly responsible for the deaths of Vernon's men, whose grisly demise Henselt himself had ordered. Deathmold fled, unwilling to risk a clash with the Witcher. It proved a sound decision, which bought him a bit more time in his life. Saskia. News had already reached us of the heroic Saskia, the woman who held Kedwen's armies at bay. At the time, however, it all seemed like little more than exaggerated rumors. As with any true hero, there were many incredible tales about Saskia. Some claimed she was invulnerable to fire and had thus survived that terrible battle when Sabrina had rained the very flames of hell down upon the combatants. The girl was also famous for killing a dragon. One would be hard-pressed to find better material for a local hero. Once victory was out of reach and defeat inevitable, Saskia fled to Lochmuin with Philippa Eilhardt's help. Sabrina Glavesick. Sabrina had become a martyr in the eyes of some soldiers, thus possibly achieving greater esteem in death than she had enjoyed in life. It cost Geralt a great deal of sweat, but he finally found a solution to the problem. Sabrina's spirit finally found solace, and the curse she had placed on Henselt was lifted. Siegfried of Denessle is back. Again with his stupid haircut. The knightly caste should oblige its members to follow the path of honor, of certain rules and ideals. Unfortunately, in our rotten times, many among the knighted, dismissive of the vows they made, are often more interested in their own privileges than chances to stuff their pouches. Compared to all those false knights, robber barons and other heraldic rabble, the House of Denessle stood apart like a lion among mongrels. Like his father, Ake of Denessle before him, the young Siegfried always followed strict moral rules in life and an iron code of honor, to the point that his devotion sometimes bordered on fanaticism. During our last meeting, Siegfried had served in the ranks of the Order of the Flaming Rose, and he had played no small part in the events at that time in the capital of Temeria. It was because of those past times that Siegfried made no objections and allowed Geralt to enter Lochmuin. I guess, yeah, that's actually more difficult if you allied with Yavin in Witcher 1, I guess. You have to, sneak your way in. Radovid. Radovid wanted to use Geralt to recover Anaïs Lavalette, King Foltest's youngest child. Although she was oblivious to the fact, the girl was a trump card in a high-stakes game, the prize, Foltest's legacy. And that's all the characters. Now we still got monsters, which I think we've read all those. Or I don't know, actually. Wraiths. Draugr. The Draugr is a commander, and his Wraith soldiers are called Draugrs. The dog's will calls them into existence on battlefields or in cemeteries. Like the dog, they are born of damned souls and trapped shells, created from the remnants of arms and armor, machines and corpses torn apart by scavengers. Yeah, I've read those, definitely. In times long gone, when youth was more polite. Yeah, no, we read this, I remember that. Neckar Drowner, those are all old. Bulvor, maybe? No, read that too. Andriga, Aracas, Troll, Earth Elemental, Karen, Drog, Dragon. Crafting. Yeah, none of those have any story to them or something, right? Elder Blood. Ryan Armor, maybe? No. Okay. I don't suppose there's any new tutorials. Alchemy. Glossary. Well, there's some new stuff on the Wild Hunt, I guess. Aramil, an elf from a parallel world, was pursued by the spectral riders to Loch Muin, where he found a moment of respite. He left a missive according to which the king of the hunt desires to fling open the gates between the worlds for all time, so that chaos and terror might reign in our world as well. Right. And lastly, there is some stuff in attributes, I think. Most notably in knowledge. Let's also have a look at our abilities. Sign Hex. Oh, wait. Is that 3? Intimidation, is that 3? Persuasion, is that 3? Cover at 1. Okay. Swordsman, Haggling. Okay, Knowledge. Plus 0.5. Pyromaniac. Critical effect chance, Incineration plus 20. That's pretty good. Critical effect, poisoning, sign damage plus 3. Sapper. Okay. David. Much bigger than Geralt, alright. David vs. Goliath. Oh, okay, I get it. Thrower. Alright. So now for the... I think all this info is like gathered from books, and usually the first paragraph is the one in the book. But the other stuff is unique to this section, I think. I don't remember if I read this at all, though. Given that they are necrophages, rot fiends feed on carrion and human corpses, though this does not mean they do not attack the living. They appear on battlefields near cities afflicted by plague or around villages touched by famine. See a rot fiend and you can be sure there are many more in the area. They appear of a sudden and disappear even more quickly if threatened, so exterminating them is difficult. Trapping rot fiends makes little or no sense. Instead, they are best dealt with by cutting off their food supply. That is, burning all corpses in the area. Corpses must be incinerated rather than buried. For rot fiends are evident skillful diggers. Without sustenance, the beast will leave in search of other feeding grounds. Yeah, we've read that first paragraph, I think. Both the fast and strong styles can be used to fight rot fiends, though the fast style seems to be more appropriate. Killing a rot fiend is not difficult, yet one must remember to survive the moment of the beast's death, for the monster's corpse releases explosive fumes a mere spark could ignite. The resulting explosion can hurt the Witcher, but it might also kill nearby rot fiends, creating something of a chain reaction. Thus, a dying monster should be drawn away from its kin. Backed against a wall, a rot fiend flies into a fury, attacking madly. This attack could be evaded, for the beast's chaotic blows carry a strength that can only be called hysterical. Running is never a good idea when fighting a rot fiend, as the creatures will pursue their foe, jump on his back, knock him down and overwhelm him. Stopping rot fiends from escaping can be difficult, unless one has a bomb that will stun the monsters and render them defenseless as they try to burrow into the ground. Rot fiends are necrophages, so necrophage oil is lethal to them. Common poisons, on the other hand, are useless. The beasts have gained immunity to these by devouring carcasses. Rot fiends cannot bleed to death, as their blood congeals very quickly, but all other witches' techniques, from signs to traps to bombs, are effective in fighting them. Alright, trolls, I guess. Trolls are primitive, true, but they are counted among sapient creatures. They can speak our tongue, though not very colorfully. They mate in pairs for life, and despite what the spiteful would have, they have feelings, even if they express them unceremoniously. All trolls share fondness of building and alcohol. They combine these passions by erecting bridges and drinking away the money gained from collecting tolls. Thus originated the saying, straight like a troll bridge, when something is twisted, and trolling it a day, when construction workers make a break for quote-unquote lunch. If a troll spots his opponent from a distance, he will try to crush him by throwing huge rocks. Trolls are surprisingly accurate when throwing missiles, and their thick skin provides them ample protection from arrows, so exchanging fire with them always ends in the troll's victory. The beast must be reached as fast as possible and slaughtered with strong blows. They are sluggish, so a swordsman that evades first a thrown rock, then a rock-heavy fist has a chance of survival. One should not take risks, however, and if possible reach an understanding with a monster. Trolls are huge beings, so knocking them down or unbalancing them in combat is highly unlikely. Their ability to regenerate is legendary and means they need not fear wounds or else increasing bleeding. However, their fast metabolism has a darker side. Since these monsters are very susceptible to venoms, these swiftly reach all recesses of the trollish body. I didn't even know most of this stuff. And yeah, there's a couple more left, but after this we'll go on right ahead, finish the story. Arakace are large, slow, and protected by durable armor. The carapace, as the witches call this armor, is especially tough from the front, so it's much easier to wound the creature from the side or the back. The Arakace charges make an excellent for that. One has to evade the charge at all costs by stepping out of the beast's way, and then make one's blow. Without a doubt, it's best to use the strong style then. The Arakace has no fear of poison and not much fear of fire. Its primitive nervous system barely reacts to wounds, and its incredible vitality allows it to take even great wounds. The beast will heal them after the fight anyway, all the while digesting its prey. All said and done, the Arakace is a bug, so one's blade should be coated with the insectoid oil before fighting it. The monster's susceptibility to this blade coating is probably its sole weakness. The beast can easily all shrug off other witches' tricks, so common poisons and signs are of no use, not to mention attempts to knock the Colossus down. Intrigas. These monsters, like arachnids, hatch from eggs. Impregnated queens lay the eggs in cocoons, which hang from trees in areas known as nests. The lesser creatures zealously guard their queens, as colonies depend on them for survival. The queens themselves remain hidden, caring little for what happens to other adult specimens. However, when their nest is threatened, they emerge swiftly and fight ferociously. Thus, to exterminate an Intriga colony, one must set fire to its cocoons to lure out and kill the queen. When fighting an Intriga, use the strong style and target the beast's abdomen, where its armor is weakest. Trusting in the toughness of their armor, the creatures often willingly take blows, only to respond with a sudden counterattack that can be deadly if not evaded or blocked. Intrigas can bleed to death if hit with a blade coated with the appropriate oil. They are also susceptible to the Witcher signs. The monster can easily be tripped up, knocked down, or immobilized by a trap. However, the Intriga's peculiar metabolism makes it immune to poison. When Neckers venture out as a war or hunting party, they are led by chieftains. These are larger and mark their faces with red clay. Chieftains give orders, turning a wild band into an organized unit. Thus, they should be eliminated first. The Neckers' basic tactic is to strike en masse. They burrow from beneath the ground and swarm upon their prey. Though primitive, the tactic is surprisingly effective. One must be ready to repel many foes at once. The fast style is best suited to this. As with other agile creatures, running from neckers is not the best idea, for the monsters will catch up to their prey and swiftly kill it with multiple hits of their claws. Witchers can use their full range of skills and techniques when fighting neckers. Signs, bombs, poisons and oils that augment bleeding are all extremely effective against the beasts. Necker nests are best destroyed with grape shot bombs. Bulvors. How many more are there? Okay. This monster does not like the company of his own kind. One might even say it is like a poet in that it is an individualist. Much like an artist, it likes to show off before its lessers. Thus, it is at times accompanied by smaller, weaker beasts like neckers and rot fiends. Bulvors are prone to giving peculiar displays wherein they kill their retinue in a fanciful manner, for example, by spitting acid on rot fiends that in turn explode. As they are slow creatures, the strong style should be used when fighting bulvors. Their skin is tough, so they easily shrug off the weaker blows. Apart from which they heal as quickly as trolls do. A bulvor can kill slower opponents with the sheer momentum of its terrible charge. One should wait for this attack and dodge it, as immediately after it rushes forth and misses, and the bulvor will be stunned and thus defenseless. The bulvor uses a terrifying weapon against swifter foes. It vomits filth that is both caustic and poisonous, so its foe both chokes on the venom and dissolves into a puddle. The bulvor is a necrophage, so it should be fought using a blade coated with necrophage oil. This coating aggravates the beast's wounds and gives the witch a huge advantage. There is no point in preparing common poisons or oils that increase bleeding, as the creature is immune to both. Harpies, yay! There are many harpy species, and they're all kleptomaniacs. Yeah, we've had that first paragraph. As winged creatures, harpies attack swiftly from a great distance, before their prey can notice them. After landing a blow, they flee for a safe spot. Pinning them to the ground and denying them flight is often the only solution. Thus incapacitated, they become as clumsy as hens. Stunned with a bomb, hit with a igni or art sign, the beasts prove easy to kill, especially with a fast fighting style. The harpies' greatest strength is their ability to fly, but they can be grounded with the use of a trap. Yeah, a trap that uses silver ore. Way too expensive. Because the creature's wings are feathered, they are easily set aflame, so using the igni sign against harpies always has good results. The beasts have an excellent sense of direction and balance, and even when flailing about near the ground, they can easily regain the sky, so attempts to knock them down are doomed to fail. Wraiths. The wraiths are always connected to the sites of their demise. They may protect their former homes, or they may seek vengeance. One may even find small groups of the wandering damned in crypts and catacombs or on battlefields. It is not true that they only appear at night. I can confirm, however, that one cannot communicate with them, and they have no fear of man or monster. Wraiths, however, wraiths hover just above the ground, so they move very swiftly. One should strike at them strongly and make ample use of signs, and as immaterial beings they can appear and disappear at will. If the witcher swings his sword too slowly, giving the host time to react, he might find himself striking nothing but air and then sends a quick riposte in his back. Wraiths do not bleed, and common poisons cannot harm them. They are, however, susceptible to fire and of course to silver. The best means of fighting a wraith is the so-called spectre oil, should be used to coat a silver blade. Gargoyles. Theoreticians of magic still argue about classifying gargoyles. I favor the school claiming they are a type of golem, for gargoyles are nothing more than fancy sculptures animated with magic and programmed to do simple tasks. They can complete only the most rudimentary works, so they are most often guarding a territory, even if their creator turned to dust long ago. The gargoyle is a magical creature and often has surprising tricks up at its sleeve. Teleportation, for example. An opponent makes a blow and the gargoyle disappears only to emerge elsewhere at the same moment, like behind its enemy. It's even worse when the gargoyle appears over its opponent, then it just falls down and crushes its victim beneath the weight of its stone body. Thanks to their medallions, witches can perceive disturbances in magical aura, so they see the point where the gargoyle will appear moments before it materializes, so they have time to react. However, ordinary people tend to die crushed. Fighting the gargoyle means fighting solid rock, so it should not be surprising that poisons are useless, as are fire and oils causing bleeding. Because of its great mass, the gargoyle's stone body cannot be unbalanced, let alone knocked down. Mobilizing one with a trap will fail, as gargoyles can teleport and will flee snares using this ability. They have no weaknesses at all. Nice. Bruxa. The Bruxa finds the smell of garlic to be socially inconvenient at most, and she considers holy symbols to be interesting examples of handicraft. She endures the light of the sun well, but she prefers the darkness of the night. As you see, you can stuff most stereotypical preconceptions about vampires up your ass when it comes to Bruxa. So what works? The blade of a silver sword, as usual. Apart from silver, she can be wounded with fire and a stake, provided that the latter is as long as a wagon's drawbar. Less powerful Bruxa often hunt in packs, making it easier to corner prey. If threatened, they attack with their talons and rip the victim apart, pausing only to savor the blood of their dying foe. The greatest threat to a witcher is the Bruxa's voice. The creature can screech with such force that the shock wave will knock even a huge man down, making him easy prey for the vampires. Blindness is as great a threat as this ghastly scream. Bruxa deprive their enemies of sight in order to play cat and mouse with them. Until sight returns, one should defend against their attacks in any way possible, for example by using the Quen sign. The Bruxa have masterful control over their blood circulation, rendering poisons and oils that increase bleeding ineffective against them. They are good at defending themselves against witches' tricks, but they are vulnerable to fire and can be knocked down and finished off as they try to get up. Dragons. The legends are true. Dragons like to gather hordes and have a voracious appetite that they satiate by eating all living creatures with no exceptions. Like cats, they like to lounge in places of power. They nap there, drawing energy, yet nobody knows what they are using that energy for. There are 5 species of these great worms: white, black, red, green, and rock. Golden dragons, extremely intelligent, gifted with the ability to assume the shape of any creature, are of course a fairy tale for little children. Dragons are smart indeed, but they cannot speak, much less polymorph. The best tactic when meeting a dragon is to pray to all the gods with no exceptions. Atheists should run. They can thus extend their lives for a few heartbeats. It must be stressed that any of these choices would end in death when made by an amateur. One fighting a dragon should watch out for its fire above else. The breath is lethal, momentarily ending the fight. The worms can also fly and are excellent at maneuvering, so they use the advantage of altitude in combat. A witcher should climb high buildings to surprise the reptile flying by, and to use walls as protection. The beast's jaws are even worse than its paws. They bring instant death. Dragons, like cats, like to toy with their prey, so they sometimes lift to the air and drop from height when they are bored. Dragons. Dragons are immune to poisons, unworried by oils, which increase bleeding, and unaffected by traps or bombs. One would be hard-pressed to find a soul brave enough to drop a dragon, unless it had been hacked to pieces with an axe first. And I wish such an outcome of the battle to all dragon slayers with all my heart. Dogs. As an arch-wraith, the dog never stoops to doing anything with its own hands. It has lackeys for that, always wraiths, revenants, or other restless spirits. Having been a king or a commander in life, the dog retains its charisma in death, and its deathly subordinates always blindly obey its orders. Thus one needs to exterminate all manner servants on the way to its underground palace, wilderness keep, or other foreboding abode. Only then can one face the dog itself. That's literary tradition for you. The dog can be described in various ways, as has been said, but is always a lethal foe. Forget its huge strength, invulnerability to pain, fearlessness, and bloodlust. One cannot just defeat a dog using conventional means. As with every wraith, there is some tragic event connected to it, forcing the creature to remain among the living. The dog is untouchable for anyone who is part of that story. That is why the mythical hero has to get involved in various brawls and pass through many trials. By overcoming these obstacles, he enters the dog's world and becomes worthy of facing the monstrosity. The race leader is so powerful that it mocks simple witches' tricks. The one sure thing in fighting the dog, it must be said, is a silver sword. Draw gears. The draw gears are absolutely bound by the Draug's orders. They feel no fear or pain. They cannot be forced to retreat. They are ideal soldiers. Their coming is always sudden, so one must remain constantly vigilant in the presence of their leader, for his subordinates appear in dire moments to defend the Draug and tip the scales in his favor. These wraiths are protected by heavy armor and shield. A witcher should first force them to expose themselves, knocking away their shields and grinding down their armor. The best chance to wound the creature comes with when the Draugr charges. One should evade the attack and lunge at its unprotected back. The monsters are slow in battle, so one needs to weaken them methodically with strong blows. And then finish them off. In life, Draugrs were soldiers or knights, and in death they retain their proficiency in combat, so one needs to defend oneself against their blows. Their lethal counter-strikes in particular, with extreme care. The Draugrs are susceptible to spectre oil, so one should coat a silver blade with it before battle. Poisons and oils increasing bleeding are of no use. These wraiths can be defeated using fire, but the silver sword is of course the most effective. Drowners. When monsters are really crappy, ganging up makes them happy. Drowners are not the mightiest beasts in the world, so they hunt in groups, in accordance with the above saying. They are surprisingly fast on land, but a threat only to fishermen and washerwomen. They can best a witcher only if he's drunk or in love. Sometimes, however, a more robust specimen is found among the drowners. It is called a drowned dead and can command the entire band, thus it's best to eliminate it first. One could say that if drowners chatted among themselves, Geralt would be highly esteemed among them after his exploits in Vizima. Yet drowners do not chat. They are dumb like a left shoe, and good. Fast style should be used when fighting them, and one must spin swiftly before they flee from a witch's blade. Enough said. As they are already dead, drowners do not fear poisons, and even a large loss of blood makes no impression on them. This ends the list of the monster's strong points, however, as the rest of the witch's arsenal is extremely effective against them. Thus, the drowners can be killed with fire, immobilized by traps, knocked down, and above all else, sliced and diced until slime spills from their ears. Earth Elementals. The Earth Elemental always serves its summoner faithfully. It's most often employed as a guard, as it's tireless and always vigilant. It does have senses of living beings. It does have senses as living beings do, but it always recognizes the presence of intruders. It has no fear of monsters, let alone humans. This monster's most dangerous weapons are its mighty arms. A blow from the Earth Elemental is akin to a battering ram hitting a city gate. It turns a normal human into a bloody stain. Its riposts are especially dangerous, for this apparently sluggish creature can strike swiftly as well as strongly. Thus one has to defend oneself against its blows with all available means, including potions and signs. According to the fight fire with fire rule, or rather the fight strength with strength, one should also use strong blows against the elemental, since only such attacks can grind its stone body down. The Earth Elemental's body is solid rock, so the creature cannot be poisoned or blooded. It is best to summon a team of dwarven miners to use pickaxes on it till it's done for. However, if the witcher has no such team at hand, he could use regular means. The Earth Elemental, though it has no weaknesses, can be beaten. With a silver blade, I reckon. And last but certainly not least, the Karen. Over 100 years ago, the Karen made its lair near the trading post of Flotsam. The folk of the nearby village call it the Old Man. People have grown used to the monster's presence. Until recently, they even considered the creature harmless. Lately, however, the Karen awoke and now emerges from the water. It has become more aggressive. It shatters ships, shreds nets, snatches people from the riverbanks, and pulls them beneath the water. Even the military cannot handle this plague, for the Karen hides in the water, where it is impossible to fight. To defeat the Karen, one first needs to pull it on dry land, or drain the river meander where the monster lies in wait. If that trick works, it will be possible to approach the monstrosity. The creature defends itself with long, heavy tentacles. An ordinary man would die from a single blow, for these appendages weigh as much as a trebuchet arm and are covered in poisonous mucus. These tentacles should be cut off or immobilized during combat, for example using a special trap. Once the Karen is unable to shield itself, one should approach its trunk, but beware its venom. The monster spits a vile poison as skillfully as a street urchin. Its armor, tougher than that of any other creature, with the possible exception of dragons, is the final obstacle to overcome. One needs to find a way to pierce the carapace to get to the inner organs. Good luck. The Karen laughs at poisons, or it would laugh at it if it had a sense of humor. Or it would laugh if it had a sense of humor. It might even fall over from laughter, and that would be the only way to knock it down, but it's not going to happen. If the creature had a circulatory system like humans do, it might be possible to bleed it to death. Unfortunately, it is a monster that makes other monsters seem like house pets, thus always reducing blood coagulation cannot harm it. It treats most traps as garbage strewn on the ground, but witches may be able to construct traps to immobilize its tentacles. And that's our monster knowledge. Lastly, let's see if we have any new books. Description of convoy carrying Foltest's children. The document consists of a map upon which the route to be taken by the convoy carrying Foltest's children has been marked. Attached to it is a detailed description of the convoy, including the strength and nature of the escorting forces, their colors, armaments, routines, and habits. A tavern seemingly ideal for an ambush has been marked on the map. Alongside the mark, someone has described the place as if they were less than a fortnight ago. They were there less than a fortnight ago. The text appears to have been penned hastily, but in high style and on luxury paper. It is also sprinkled with hunting jargon. History of the Council of Mages. The Supreme Council of Sorcerers consisted of talented mages, most of whom also were advisors to rulers of northern kingdoms. Philippa Eilert and Cadwyn of Lanexeter were, among others, its members. Though only one member of the council turned out to be a Nilfgaardian supporter during the Thunad Rebellion, a large part of its members were neutral mages, and that caused a split in the entire body. Though most of the council members survived those events, the loss of importance and the king's support resulted in disbanding the association, and sorcerers lost most of their previous influence in the north. Duties and goals of the Lodge. Interesting. The actions of this secret organization, which united sorceresses from the northern kingdoms and Nilfgaard, were revealed relatively late. The 10-member Lodge had been envisioned as a successor to the Conclave and the Supreme Council of Sorcerers. It was supposed to focus on the interests of magic and protect the world from the cataclysm that would result from the disappearance of the art. However, at the time the story was unfolding, not many knew the organization even existed, apart from the sorceresses belonging to it, of course. Falsified orders. Falsified letter, purportedly from Kimball to the convoy commander. Letter made to look like Baron Kimball's. Note for scribe. Right. Scribe's notes. Invisible ink. Scribe's notes. Baroness Lavalette interrogation report. Yeah, we read this. Ancient manuscript. Oh, that's the one we translated with the help of Brass of Barnard. Philippa Eilart's notes. Alright. Dorian's diary. That's the werewolf. Blood of elves. Elves, or Enshade as they call themselves, are a folk known for their beauty and longevity. Their sages, scholars, and artists were at the fore of their fields, creating real breathtaking masterpieces. The glory of this elder race is long gone, however. After a series of bloody conflicts with humans, their cities were ruined. Their cities were ruined, and the elves themselves were forced to retreat to the east, into unapproachable mountains, or to recognize human domination and accept their lot. Years of wars, persecution, and mutual enmity created a rift between our races. Many elves saw a chance of winning freedom in the last war against Nilfgaard, so they took up arms, creating the partisan groups of Scoia'tael. Though they managed to secure the creation of the partially independent realm of Dol Blathanna, some feel they were deceived and still wage war on humans. Yeah, just finishing up with the last of the lore here. The last books we have in our in inventory before we end up finishing the game. Legend of the Kingslayer. Kinslayer. Have we seen this yet? I don't think so. A long time ago, the dragon Osterberg ravaged and plundered the sacred temple of Freya on the Skellige Islands. We're gonna go there in Witcher 3. Sacred temple of Freya. Three brothers, the sons of a Jarl, vowed to recover the goddess's relics. The priestess granted the diagrams of 3 ancient suits of armor, so they would be able to face the dragon's formidable fangs and devastating breath of fire. The smith Sigurd, Iron Lord, forged the sacred armor for them. The second oldest brother ultimately slew the dragon. He deemed it unjust that his elder brother, who had proved himself a coward and fled the beast, would inherit their father's title and lands. Thus he pursued his brother to strip him of his birthright. Since he could not force the Oathbreaker to renounce his claim, he killed his brother with his sacred blade. This deed brought a curse down upon him, and he became known as the Kinslayer. As the anathema was worded, he would live as long as he wore his complete outfit. The Kinslayer traveled to Loch Muin, for a sorcerer claimed he could lift the curse that summoned him there. In fact, the mage had lied. He merely wished to unlock the secrets of the wondrous armor. He asked the Kinslayer for his word. And when the brother parted with his blade, the prophecy was fulfilled. The diagrams of the Kinslayer's outfit remain hidden amidst the ruins of Loch Muin until this day. To this day. The Runes of Power. Yeah, we read those. Journal of the Eilatan. To the Supreme Council of Mages. The research and exploration conducted in Loch Muin has produced surprisingly good results. Our discoveries went well beyond simple valuables and historic items. Namely, we unearthed a relic that belonged to a member of the First Conclave. The fools accompanying me on this journey have no notion of the significance of this find. The item is simply too important to land in the dark storeroom in the Faculty of History. As a spiritual successor of the First Mages, I hereby claim ownership of it, in my own name as well as yours. The find is bound to cause a fuss, thus I request your support and the appropriate lobbying at Foltest's court. Oswin. Sarek's notes. Notes of the Kingslayer named Seret. He seems different, but in reality is so similar. Our paths have been the same. We survived the trials, endured the same training, and have slain so many monsters that we no longer keep count. So many men also. The difference is in the details. When I see him moving in combat, I want to laugh. But I also see that he's just as effective, if not more so. There is, however, one critical difference I cannot describe adequately. He has a goal. He's committed to something. He doesn't wander the world as if blown about by the wind. I believe he feels emotions at a level I cannot attain. If these emotions are not typically human, is it an illness of some kind? I think he teeters on the brink of instinct and emotion, and that he uses up a lot of energy to maintain his mental health. I hope I get a chance to know him better and learn from him. Nothing specific, just life. Is he talking about us now or about Letho? First letter to the Emperor. Your Imperial Majesty, I hasten to report that the sorcerer Vanhammer is indeed proven right for the role assigned to him. He keeps his apprentice Cynthia on a short leash and displays nothing approaching excessive ambition. I believe him to be of unquestionable loyalty, and his abilities are more than adequate to serve your Imperial Majesty's objectives. The summit will be the final test. We will see how he behaves there, and if he proves more capable of resisting temptation than his female colleagues did, please convey my kindest regards to your consort. Your Imperial Majesty's ever faithful servant, Shilard Fitzesterlin. Song of the Hunt. The Song of the Hunt. Tracing an ever wider spiral, the hunt circles the world of mortals. Everything decays in the centrifugal vortex. Pure anarchy rages over the world. The winds of war swell on blood, flooding the rites of ancient innocence. The best lose all hope, and the worst revel in fervent and fitful power. Looking-glass images without heart or mind haunt the worlds in the name of those who have preserved blood from blood and feed on unrestrained lust. Interesting. Schlad Fitzestilin's order. By order of His Imperial Majesty, I hereby command the capture of the sorceress Triss Merigold, considered to be at large in Upper Aden. The sorceress should be brought to me alive and in secret. Not a single hair is to fall from her head. Schlad Fitzestilin. We've read this. Thanet coup. I think we've probably read most of, if not all of the books, starting here. The Dun Banner rose to fame during the last wars with Nilfgaard. A Cadweni light cavalry regiment initially patrolled the area around Ban Glean. Called to the front, it proved its mettle during the incursion into Upper Aden. But it was the chroniclers of the last Battle of Brenna who made the unit famous. Because history likes to repeat itself, several years later the Dun Banner once again led Hansel's foray into Aden. This time it suffered a crushing defeat, at the hands of an ostensible ally no less. The sorceress Sabrina Glavesic. Decimated beyond resurrection, the unit was never reformed, and its characteristic cloaks and beaver-skin caps, which once had bred terror in the hearts of Cadwen's foes, became a thing of the past, though they remain identifying marks by which a unit's few surviving former members recognize one another. Oh, that's how we got the Spectre to even talk to us, is by showing him Zivic's cap. The Viziman Uprising. The events known under that name took place not long after the Witcher mysteriously came back. The leader of the Order of the Flaming Rose, Jacques de Aldersberg, made plans to build a new, better world under his own leadership. Using the power he had over the Order, and fanning the conflict with a Scourtel until it threatened the city itself, he marched against King Foltest at the head of an army of mutated creatures. The battles that took place in the city between the Order, the Scourtel, and the troops loyal to the king are remembered as the Vizima Rebellion. Though historians cannot agree on their opinions of those events, the fact is that Foltest managed to contain the situation and the rebellion ended. I must be repentant after years spent living in error. No soldierly vice was too vile for me. During my years of service I embraced gambling, alcohol, sloth, lies, and evil profanity. I took lives, and not just when ordered. I was cruel. Today I see clearly that I had sunk into a darkness from the depth of which I could not see the light. Miss Sabrina Glavesic, bright and pure as a goddess, shone like the light of a candle in the blackest night. She always supported the soldiers and tried to draw me onto the path of righteousness. Yet I was blind to the light. Hog named Henselt. Dandelion's work. Yeah. Yeah, we've read all those. Conjunction of the spheres, slaves of the curse. Drogs are commanders, and Drogiers are their wraith soldiers. The Drog calls Drogiers into existence on battlefields or in cemeteries by the sheer force of his will. Like the Drog himself, these minions arise from the damned souls within the shells formed of the remnants of arms, armor, war machines, and corpses that were torn apart by scavengers. Letter of supplication to Sabrina. Saint Sabrina, I humbly beg you to hear my supplication. Grant me, O fair lady, your blessings and protection. Deign to save me from the snares of my enemies, from all my dangers. From all dangers. The legendary accursed. The Draug is a mythical creature issuing straight from ancient legends of heroes and their epic deeds. When a hero descends into a fiery hell to rescue his beloved, or when he seeks to avenge his father's death, the Draug is often the opponent. Why are poets so keen to cast this monster as the arch-enemy? Well, as a wraith, the Draug fits well into any dark story of a curse or vengeance from the world beyond. Described variously, always as terrifying, its true appearance remains unknown. It is a powerful creature, a prince of the damned, thus making an ideal villain. Hey Bart, how's it going? Your history exams went good. That's good. I'm glad for you. English exams start in half an hour. Well then, better get to your preparations, I guess. I'm just finishing up with the last lore here. Last books that I have in my inventory, and then I'm gonna go for the end of the game. Bernard Lorido's letter, have I read that one yet? Yes, I have. Wraiths, Fear and Trembling, yes I have. Valley of the Flowers, Temerian Special Forces. The creation of these formations began as it turned out that shitty shield bearers are as good at fighting the mobile Scoia'tael units as a knight's saddle on a pig. The first special forces were formed by King Demavend, and they were commanded by the infamous White Railer. Their effectiveness went hand in hand with cruelty and ruthlessness in their battles with the squirrels, and their hatred to non-humans usually extended, mildly speaking, beyond professional spheres. Elves from the units had equally strong enmity towards them, and the clashes between the partisans and the special forces were extremely brutal and bloody. Besides fighting the Scoia'tael, the Temerian special forces carried out a variety of other dangerous tasks, justly earning their reputation of effective professionals. Temerian Royal Dynasty. Yeah. Realms of the Nordlings. Karen. Horrors of War, Rot Fiends. Rites of Midaete. That's Midsummer, right? Drowners. Miss Mercy's Report. Margot's Farewell Letter. Yeah, we read this. The Wild Hunt. Captain's Log. Hospital Files. Notes on Patient. Report for Tala. Dimitri's Letter. Veopatis. 3 is among the ingredients. The Grand Triple. Oh, that's about Melitelli, right. About witches. Neckers in the Mist, about dragons, Arrakis, feudal society and its enemies. That's about the Scoia'tael, I guess. The Annals of Mahakam is about the dwarves, the art of magic. It's about sorceress, magic and power. Rest Warren, finely scribbled notes. And Margot's notes. Yes, and that's all. I end the game. I'm actually pretty close to the ending, but I mean it's gonna take maybe like another half hour, 45 minutes, I think, to finish. But then I'm gonna be finished with Witcher 2. Yes, yes, finally. I mean, not finally. I mean, I enjoyed playing it, but yeah, I gotta get finished for The Witcher 3. Yeah, nothing new here anywhere. Crafting tutorial, maybe glossary. Oh, elves. Yeah, I read that. That was the very same in the book, though. Yep. Lodge of Sorceresses. The members of the Lodge also interfered in politics, attempting to influence monarchs and the fates of entire countries. They even used murder as a means to their ends. The removal of Demavend was supposed to stabilize the situation of Aden, but it began a series of events that shook the northern kingdoms. Dunbanner. Vizima Rebellion. and Vizima. Lying where important trade routes converge, Temeria's capital sits picturesquely on the shore of Lake Vizima in the valley of the Ismena River, a tributary of the Ponta. The city is divided into 4 teeming quarters, which are home to thousands of host travelers from all corners of the world. The royal palace and court are both found here, and the city boasts many markets, temples, forges, shops, banks, workshops, inns, and brothels. Since our story does not concern Vizima directly, I will end my description here and urge those interested to consult other sources. I think Witcher 3 is coming out tomorrow, or basically at midnight tonight. Yeah, so pretty soon. There's already a couple of streamers playing it though, because they got to it early, I think. So, yeah, now I'm just gonna put a couple of things back into my storage, and then I'm gonna go to that summit.
It's a brazen attack. King Radovid will learn of this.
I'm gonna keep those 2 around, gonna keep this around. I don't need 45 brown oil though, maybe 3. Same for Falca's blood. Fiber enhancer, insectoid oil. I don't think I'll be fighting any insectoids. Magic wrap, necrophage oil. Oh. Yeah, that should actually be fine. Couple of the potions can go too. I don't think I'll need any cat potions at all. Golden Aureole, I can keep 3 maybe. Rook, keep 3 likewise. I am excited, yes. First decoction. Okay, should be good. Nitrogens, greater strength. Yeah, that can go into storage. Guess I can put all of this into storage as well. I won't do any alchemy anymore. Diagrams as well, I guess. Then those don't weigh anything, so that doesn't make a difference. The books don't weigh anything. Okay. Okay, we're ready to go.
Radovid sent them, you idiot!
The audacity!
So, where do we meet Triss?
Tell yourself to get...
Summit of Mages. Join the deliberations. Back there, okay.
Flog your lecherous bodies, but not one sorcerer.
Flock your lecherous bodies.
Constable John Natalis.
Interex John Natalis.
Where's she at?
So,
There
even the
she is.
Nilfgaardians have...
So let's save
Your Excellency
and go for
knows
it.
well.
We're about to witness a great event.
Yeah, I can't wait. Let's go inside.
I can hear the
It's
excitement
now or
in his
never.
voice.
In recent weeks, we have deliberated extensively in Vizima on who is to succeed to the Temerian throne. Because the fate of Foltest's last child remains unknown, we could not reach an agreement. Unable to reconcile the interests of the esteemed Temerian houses, we have no choice but to divide the country into provinces along the barony's current borders.
This cannot be, John Natalis. Temeria stands between Nilfgaard and the north. It must be a strong and united realm.
I too would wish it so, Your Majesty. But when Foltest was cut down by an assassin, the country's very heart burst.
I have learned that Anais La Valette is currently in the hands of the sorcerer Deathmold.
Clearly you have yet to learn of the slaughter that occurred today in the Kedweni camp, King Radovid.
Yet there is hope if the child lives. I hasten to remind you that Vernon Roche, his capture is also your responsibility. He is suspected of murdering King Hensel soon after the monarch's triumph.
Okay,
in
bye,
Bergen.
but
As a
thanks for tuning
Temerian
in.
soldier, Roche remains under your jurisdiction, Natalis.
Vernon Roche disappeared with his unit a few days after the successful siege of La Valette Castle. Should he reappear in Temeria, he shall be arrested and tried as the law prescribes.
To the matter at hand. The document describing the charter of the Council and the Conclave is, as previously ascertained, an exact copy of the charter found in the ruins on Thanet Island. The more important question relates to the Conclave and its power to designate royal advisors. Today, randomly chosen mages and sorceresses reside at many courts. However, in the time of the previous Conclave, such persons were carefully chosen.
Why shouldn't we pick our own advisors?
These individuals bear great responsibility, Your Majesty. The Conclave needs to be certain they are competent.
And that they will keep the Conclave's interests in mind.
Obviously, sire. The Conclave's chief interest is the well-being and prosperity of the northern kingdoms. The document has been signed by every member of the Conclave we have proposed, as well as by all but one of the designated advisors. We await only Sheila de Tanserville's signature.
Without our royal seals, you should be allowed to designate advisors to cowherds at most.
That is true, Your Majesty.
Sheila de Tanserville should never be allowed to sign this document.
Triss Merigold, you decided to join us after all.
De Tanserville has royal blood on her hands. She can't sit on the Conclave.
That is a lie.
Have you anything to support these claims, Merigold?
There are witnesses who will confirm that Sheila de Tanserville was behind the assassinations of Demavend and Foltest.
Officials of the future Council and Conclave. Sheila de Tanserville should be arrested and tried. If Triss Merigold speaks the truth, Lady de Tanserville will be condemned to death.
Sheila de Tanserville, until Triss Merigold's charges are dismissed or refuted, you cannot sit on the Conclave.
Arrest her.
You don't know the whole truth. Merigold doesn't know what she's talking about.
Dragon fight! Well, damn. Let me drink some potions while I still can. Maybe White Rapids and Thunderbolt.
Turn back while you can, Witcher. You can't stop me, not you, not anyone else. If I have to, I will kill you. How do you like my dragon?
Your dragon?
Kill him now!
Synthesis.
You're late. I've already managed to stabilize the portal.
You've got nowhere to run. Sooner or later, somebody will find you.
I prefer to leave on my own terms.
Where's Letho?
Sir Synthesis will tend to him, as she will to all the fools who get a hard-on at the mere thought of burning a sorceress at the stake.
Where is he?
I don't know, fool. I've been looking for him since Foltest's assassination. Letho cheated all of us. We were deceived by his dull face and sluggish stare. Don't you understand? The Lodge sought a way to get rid of Demavend, that's true. He was a weak, volatile king. Edirn would eventually choke to death under his rule. We chose the lesser evil. He had to be eliminated, and Letho happened to be at hand.
Foltest? Henselt?
We had nothing to do with that. After assassinating Demavend, Letho used our gold and magical support to find and meet Yorveth. The elf was to help him hide until the matter blew over, or so I thought. The Lodge did not condemn Foltest to die.
Then who did?
Nilfgaard. Letho is the king of liars and emperor of traitors. From the start, he worked for the glory of the great sun and the white flame dancing on the graves of his foes. He lied to everyone. Me, Yorveth, your stupid little Triss, and you.
Got any evidence?
A moment ago, I received a message from the Lodge's agent in Sintra. The Imperial Army is on the move. They're fording the Yaruga now. Do you think the North can defend itself in the current situation? And can you count on another miracle at Brenna?
I don't know, but you made it all possible and you'll answer for that. The stigma of treason is yours for all time.
We shall see. For no one will leave this city alive. No one will tell this story. Philippa controls the dragon. As soon as I disappear, it will turn the city into a flaming tomb.
The dragon attacked Foltest's troops during the siege of Lavalette Castle. That hardly supports your tale.
We did not control it then. We may have lost a battle, but the war is just beginning. You, however, shall not take part in it. This is your end, Witcher. Farewell!
Something's not right. The diamond! Someone replace the diamond! This one's flawed! I'll be torn to bits! Geralt, remove it! The diamond! Remove the diamond! I'll give you anything you want!
You waited long enough. Should you survive, go south to Nilfgaard, where you'll find Yennefer of Vengerberg. Farewell, Witcher.
Alright, I'm gonna be right back.